whatever I say. Okay, so that will run us through all the numbers, and it will add all of those numbers together. So let's say 10 and 24. And this may only work for this specific instance. I'm going to have to test it later on the website because they have multiple arrays built in. And I'm pretty sure this won't work for like all of them, but I think it'll work for this particular set. So after we've done all of that, we're out of that loop and we're away from the if statement. So we'll say this is where we end if. All right, just for clarification. I don't want any confusion or craziness like that. So that's the end of the if, right? And we're still in the other loop, but we don't need to be in that loop anymore. So in loop, just for fun, not really for fun. So now we're out of that. Okay, oops. So now what do we need to do? What's the next step? What's the next iteration in this problem solving? Well, we need to get the number that we created, number hold, right? And we're going to get that, and then we need to yeah, okay, got it. Minus, right? Right? Am I right? So does that mean that we should make number hold equal to GT equal LT? Oh, fanoodle. I've screwed this up. Because 0 would minus 1, right? And then that's not going to be good. Which I feel is the way it should be anyways, because... Okay. All right, so I'm kind of at a loss right now for how we do this and make it equal -1. Because... How do I live without you? I want to know. Mistakes have been made. My logic is no longer worth the shenanigans. All right, so what was I doing before? Okay, I was getting the 10%. Some tenths equals, but some tenths would have to be equal to what? Oh no. So I am at a loss right now because that's going to equal, okay, so if that's 0, no, that should be fine. It's going to be fine. This is going to be great. We'll see. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. It'll be fine. It'll all wash out later, you know? Or it won't. Whatever. All right, so one thing that we probably should do is we probably should take 10%, right? So divide it by 10, right? Divide the number that's greater than 10 by 10 so that we can get just the tenths place. And that makes sense. Okay, so here in the if loop, we're going to take, if it is equal to that, then we're going to take GT equal, and we're going to multiply that, or divide it. Yeah, divide by 10. All right. And then this is going to be number hold equals number hold minus the new GT equal LT, which is going to be 1, right? Because our first one was 10, so that'll be 1. I hope you guys are just enjoying my rambling. I am trying to get this right, and we'll see. So that'll give us our ones place, and then when it goes back around until once it gets to the 2 or the 24, it'll multiply that or divide that by 10, which we're not using freaking, what are they called? There's integers and then there's doubles. All right, so right, doubles, that's going to be our percentage. So, or not our percentage, but that's going to be the decimal place. So no decimal place. So it's just going to drop the 4 like it's hot. And then it's just going to have the 2, and it's going to subtract the 2 from the 1, and boom, goes the dynamite. So I hear. God, this is so nerve-wracking to do somewhat live. I'm just glad you can't see my face as I freak out. Okay, so we've done the 10%, so to speak. What was I doing? Oh, well, don't worry about that. So, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're going to want to return the, and as we know, a return statement is simply just the function ending and giving something back to either indicate that it's successfully shut down, or to indicate that it got screwed up, or to indicate that there's a specific number you're going to want. So we're going to want number hold, right? So that's what we're going to want to return. We're going to want to return number hold, right? That's what we're going to want to give back to the main program. That's what's going to tell us whether we did it right, did it wrong. Purple elephants came out when it was supposed to be -3 or -1 or whatever. Okay, and this is mostly pseudocode. This is somewhat like, it's actually not too bad, I suppose. Okay, so now for the, let's go over it step by step one more time, just to make sure that we're clear on what's going on and how it's working. So we're looking for numbers that are greater than or equal to 10. We have up here what our array will be. So we already know in advance there are 2 numbers greater than or equal to 10. We know there's a total of 7 numbers in the array. We're giving ourselves a lot of information here that we might have to find out, but that's for a more complex problem later. We'll worry about that shenanigans later. So we know, I know that this data is not going to come out right, but then again, when does data come out right the first time? Okay, so we have the array, we know how many it's going to be, we know it's going to be odd, we know we have to subtract the tens place of each number that qualifies as greater than or equal to 10. So in order to do that, we have, you know, our variable that holds the total number, which is that are greater than or equal to 10, which is number hold. I'm pointing at my screen, you guys can't see that, so I should probably stop that. Okay, so number hold is our variable to hold the numbers, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to have a loop that's probably going to be a for loop, right? A for loop would make the most sense because we know how many times it's supposed to iterate. We know exactly what we want it to do. So we have no worries on that. And then we have this greater than equal to equals, okay, so we got to put an int, right, for integer right there, because that's going to be a variable. So integer gt equals numbers I, which is just simple speak for the array of numbers, which is up here, right? So the array of numbers, the place that's I, right? So we start at 0, the place that is I, and it starts at 0, and the array starts at 0. So boom, this is the 0 place. It's a 9, and the thing it's going to ask is, hey, is 9, so back down here, all right, so is 9 greater than or equal to 10? No. So what it's going to do is just run all the way down to here and skip that code that's indented. It's going to end the if, and then the I, right? So the I is going to increment, boom, right? It's going to increment, and then it's going to say, hey, is I greater than 7? Or less, is I, as long as I is less than 7, we're going to run, right? Easy peasy. So it's going to run again because its own I is only going to be 1, and that's still less than 7. All right, so it's going to ask again, hey, is that I place, which is now 1, because we incremented in the loop. Remember, we incremented right here, right? We incremented right here, so I is 1, and array start at 0, so that means the 1 place is right here, that's 10. So it's going to say, hey, what do we do? Is it greater than or equal to 10? And it's going to say, yeah, sure is. What do you know, Joe? You know, it's equal to 10 on the dot. All right, so now it's going to come down here and it's going to start executing this code. This code is to get a percentage, right? We want to get it. We want to get that tens place by itself. And since we don't have anything over 2 digits, this makes it easier. So this is how we're going to run it. All right, so if it had more than 2 digits, we'd probably use like a modulo afterwards to, you know, whatever magic it does and get the leftovers and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Shit that doesn't matter right now. So we got the division by 10. So that takes 10 down to 1, right? Because 10 is the number that we're on. Takes it down to 1. And it goes number hold. You've already been created up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to equal you to yourself minus that number, right? Which is going to be 1. So technically that would be -1. I'm pretty sure I'm screwing that up, but we'll see. That's fine. All right, and then it ends the if. Now that it's done what it needed to do, goes back up here to this first loop, right? Oh, I don't know how to use my mouse. Okay, it goes back up here. Says, hey, let's increment I again. So I goes to 2. This is so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to get to increment 5, right? Or increment technically 4. It's the 5th increment, but it's going to be a 4 as a number because we started at 0. And it's going to get this 2, 4. This 2, 4 is going to register as meeting the criteria in this if. It's going to divide it by 10, which is going to give us 2, and then it's going to subtract 2 from the current -1, and then bam, you have -3, some magical way, I believe. Perhaps I should get a calculator. Wouldn't that be smart? Calculator? I wonder if they make those things for computers. Does anybody know? I have a bad feeling that 0 minus 1 is -1 minus 2 is -3. Fuck me. I'm almost positive it has to be, the end result has to be -1. Almost positive. Like, pretty freaking sure. But hey, let's see if this code will work anyways, just for fun. And then I'll iron out the details fucking tomorrow. Excuse me, I think I'm getting a little frustrated. Okay, so let's move on to our next, to the D data format. All right, we don't need a stinking data format. Okay, it's going to be the number that it is, and hopefully it works out. All right, E is sample data, which is above. So we already got that. We're good to go. Okay, now because we're restricted in what we're doing to a degree, we're restricted in the fact that we were given a already given a function, and I don't want to create functions and functions and functions. I'm not even sure the legality of that in C++.